Hello and welcome to Focus on Liberia. It is a Sunday night debate here, as always. Here, Focus on Liberia. Anthony here, co-moderating with my partner Dennis Jai. We have two outstanding gentlemen who are here to debate two key issues, and we want to welcome you as we broadcast from our headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia. Dennis, I think the stage is set. How ready are you?
This is what in the 70s was likened to the rumble in the jungle. Tonight is a debate, the meeting of the titans, bare knuckles combat between Hussein Fariga, aka Prophet Truth, and Robert, my homeboy from Metro Atlanta, Robert Gagwa Jr. And it all started when Fariga, who appears to be leaning Mr. Cummings' way, posted about Mr. Cummings, and Robert was enraged, to put it mildly, about what Mr. Fariga posted. And he said the decision making and judgment of Mr. Cummings has him scratching his head. Well, the both of them engaged on social media. It went back and forth, and they said, you know what? There is no swimming argument at the waterside. So in order, let's go on the big league, let's go on the big screen and debate these issues. So they reach out to us, and as usual, we are willing to moderate this debate between Mr. Hussein Fariga and Robert Gagwa. I'm ready, and I hope our viewers are ready. Welcome to Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jai, and of course, we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. Gentlemen, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Sia, you are muted.
Okay. And folks, for the debate, we have two segments. Segment number one, Cummings' decision making and judgment. Something Robert said got him head scratching or scratching his head. Segment number two, Cummings' plan for Liberia. So these are the two segments for the debate tonight. Since Robert is the one who said Cummings' decision making and judgment got him head scratching, we will call in Mr. Robert Gagwa to make the case why Mr. Cummings' decision and judgment are making him to be like scratching his head. Mr. Gagwa, again, welcome. Let's hear you.
Thank you. Thank you for giving us the opportunity and the platform to come out here and discuss Liberia. Before I commence, I would like to state that Fatiga is a friend. He's a brother in whom I respect. And by the way, about a few days ago, we had a very, very great conversation on his platform. And I think this is an extension of that conversation on Focus on Liberia. But
and Robert, sorry to cut you. I want to bring in our viewers here because normally when people watch the debate, we take sides based on who we support. We want to mention tonight that the debate here, we have certain things we want you to look at before making your judgment. It's not that whether you support Mr. Cummings or whoever you support. We have something called our debate rubric, which you can see that clearly. But what we are doing is we want you, as you watch the debate tonight, check for the respect for opponent. And by respect for opponents, all statements, body language, and responses, if they are respectful and inappropriate language. Two, we have information. All the information our debaters will be presenting in this debate was a clear, accurate, thorough, and within a lot of time. We also want you to look at their rebuttals. All counter arguments should be accurate, relevant, and strong. Use of facts and statistics. Every major point should be well supported with several relevant facts, statistics, and or example. We also want to look at organization. All arguments should be clearly tied to an idea or a premise and organized in a tight and logical fashion. Last but not the least, we want to make sure that our debaters understand the topic. We want to see the debater clearly understand the topic in depth and present the information forcefully and convincingly. So when you are watching the debate, these are the things you should look for to grade Mr. Fatiga and Mr. Gagwa. That way, this is free from sentiments. This is free from who you support, but you are looking at this fact. Again, welcome to Focus on Liberal. Robert, sorry for the interruption. Please go ahead.
Thank you. And I will try to be as brief with the a lot of time that we have, but I'll go right into it. In 2017, I did an interview on this very platform. And again, it's always a privilege and honor to be on your platform, and in which I was looking in depth at the three candidates. At the time, we spoke about Joseph Boycott, of course. We spoke about Alex Cummings and George Weah, and I was very clear that if you looked at all of the different their career backgrounds and their achievements, and some of what we have termed an issue, age-old issue in Liberia, I was convinced that Alex Cummings fit the bill to have been the real change agent. And in 2017, Alex Cummings said something very profound. He said, "You cannot keep doing the same things and expecting different results." And he continued, he said, if we continue to elect leaders with the same mindsets, behaviors, and experiences, we cannot expect a different Liberia. Now, I believed him personally, but let's look at some of the characters with the same mindsets, behaviors, and experiences Cummings has gone to bed with. I'll start with Joseph Boycott. Joseph Boycott happens to be Alex Cummings' now fierce competitor, and from all indications, Joseph Boycott is an honorable statesman, but a man with lots of the same experiences Cummings alluded to in 2017, with little to show for it. I won't dive into Joseph Boycott's 40 years of public service experiences because I want to give his supporters the benefit of the doubt to release a record of substance, impacts, and tangibles to back up his many years in public service. His many years in public service. But in 2017, there was a reason why Cummings and many who have now formed an alliance with him on grounds that 12 years was rejected. Joseph Boycott on grounds that 12 years was enough for them to have stemmed to stem something on the trajectory of Liberia. Okay, Liberia's misfortune. 12 years as vice president under the Unity Party-led government. Joseph Boycott was rejected on grounds that they had enough opportunities to have done something better. If you looked at all of the support that were made available for Joseph Boycott, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and the Unity Party-led government, you would have thought that Liberia would be on a different path, whether it was education, whether it was infrastructure, whether it was jobs creation, so forth and so on. Looked at where we were in 2017. And so I question what changed in just less than 2 years after 2017. What really changed? What decision was it for Alex Cummings now to have thought it wise to form an alliance with a man he rejected on some great business in 2017? Let's look at Bernard Ure, a man who, from all accounts, epitomizes all that is wrong with the same mindsets, the same behaviors and experiences Cummings spoke about. From his documented role in helping a dictator in Charles Taylor destroy whatever was left of Liberia during that regime, to his role in massive corruption that particularly benefited him and his children while thousands of poor Liberians suffered. How can Cummings logically explain his statements of what is important to me doing the right thing, even if it costs me the opportunity to be your president, when it appears as though he's willing to compromise what he stands for, his integrity and core values to get to the presidency? Time will not permit me to really address some of all of the different things. Let's look at people like Musa Hassan Beladi from Liberty Party. a man who is on who criminal record. I'm not making this stuff up. It's public. It's no secret. Musa Hassan Bedidi is one of the closest allies of Alice Cummings. These decisions, and many other decisions that I don't have time to talk about, or maybe later on I will have the opportunities to talk about. His decision to go to Unity or Liberty Party headquarters, as recently, given what was happening internally, the internal conflict, his decision to return to Liberia and have a welcome party at that headquarters. It leaves me speechless. And so the question and what I really need us to focus on tonight, and my contention here is that it's not that Alice Cummings is a bad person. It's not that he's a bad guy. It's not that he's a terrible leader. It's that what does he really stand for, and what is he willing to lose to get to the presidencies? And all of these decisions and many more, some of which we're going to dive into later on tonight, have left me hair scratching.
Thank you, Robert. Mr. Fariga, you heard Robert, and according to his opening statement, he has serious qualms with Mr. Cummings' decision and judgment, that which is articulated, just few of them. And you indicated to us you don't doubt Mr. Cummings' judgment and decision making. Let's hear from you.
Well, thanks for having me on, and thanks for that beautiful explanation by my friend and brother Robert. I think Robert made the case very easy for me. I think he just said, I mean, I'm of this notion that two things can be right, and two things can also be wrong. I mean, we just have different way of saying it. But I think he just made the case for me. He named, according to him, 3 questionable characters within the CPP. This speaks to what is wrong in Liberia. You see, if you have an ambition, if you have most behavior analysts, whatever term you call them, most would tell you that if you have a goal, in order to achieve that goal, it has to be realistic. So the first thing is you can have a dream, but if it is not realistic, you cannot achieve it. So you will just get frustrated and abandon those goals. We all experience that in our day-to-day life. One thing I gather from what Robert just said, he spoke exactly to what is wrong in Liberia. That in Liberia, integrity is a very rare commodity. Integrity is not something that we find easily. And I've always mentioned this on my show. If you were to look at a candidate that is vying for office in the US, you won't have to look too long, because the political institutions will have done all the groundwork for you. So let's assume is Philip Banks is running for some office. The party will do the vetting. They will vet that person. They gather lawyers. They ask the person questions. They want to delve into the history and know exactly who they are, and make sure that there won't be any surprises. So when Mary Brown or Mark Zuckerberg goes to the poll, he can rest assured that that candidate has been vetted. Even if something comes out, he knows that they will be able to, So we have people with integrity going into public office. People that have actually done something. That is not the case with our country. Here's a country that, to add to the list of people that Robert have named, I know he questioned Mr. Ability. I respect Mr. Ability a lot. Some of the allegations levied against him were alleged. But I won't. Mr. Ability can do well. He can speak for himself. I won't try to speak for some of those guys. But let me add to the long list of people. We have had former drugs dealer, the other guy from that just ran to Taylor Uplay. People accusing him of selling drugs. We have had former warlord, people that improperly executed a former president. We have had a soccer player that his personal lifestyle, if he was in America, there are so many things that we could have judged him on, which he wouldn't have been even president of the Republic of Liberia as we speak. And we can go on naming so many people. You know, that in our body politics that went ahead and won elections that leave us scratching our head. Some of those people cannot even articulate anything in our constitution. Some of them have not even made any kind of meaningful or written any kind of meaningful bill. So this is a country I call a landmine or minefield of bad politicians. So we are not dealt so many good candidates. So if you think that you will never work with anybody, get ready not to work with them. Just stay out of Liberian politics. Because something happened. During the Civil War, a lot of us left. We left Gronshaw, our brothers and sisters. Some of them did well, some of them didn't do so well, some of them did their own thing. And by the time I was hoping to go back to our country, we see that the country had been overtaken by a bunch of questionable characters. Now, how can we get that country back? It's almost impossible. Because the sad thing about these people is they do have followers. They do have people that they have a constituency, they have a base. So these are not ordinary people. So I just want to lay that premise. So I do agree that some of these people have questionable character. But how do you change such a system? A system that is plagued with questionable characters. You cannot do it as an outsider. You have to do it from within. This is where you have to be very strategic. So he mentioned work. Let me go down to the specific, to the three people that he just named. He mentioned Boykai. Sadly, I cannot disagree here on Mr. Boykai. I supported Boykai, Mr. Boykai at some point because, like I said, we are dealt bad candidates, and you are left to choose the lesser evil. So one of the reasons I supported Women Boykai, if you follow me on social media, I was totally against Boykai and even some of the Unity Party. But when I had the option to choose between the two evil, he seemed at the time the lesser evil. One, I calculated his age. Since we didn't have a clear alternative at that time, I believe that he would have been a transitional president until we can find the right person to steer us into that direction that we want to be. So when it came to choosing between him and the CDC, whom I believe it was not prepared, they have not demonstrated anything to show that they were prepared for state power, I had to choose the lesser evil. Not that he was any better, but he was the lesser evil. We ended up losing, and we are stuck with what I thought was the evil at that time. And we've been right. You can see how the country has been governed for the last 4 years. So we'll find time to talk about that. So when you want to question Mr. Cummings, there's a Liberian that have worked in corporate America, that had done his best, raising poor boy, came from Africa, worked his way up the ladder. Now he decided to retire and go back to contribute to his country. The first thing is he is seen as an outsider because the minefield of corrupt individuals have organized this criminal, I call it criminal syndicate, because they all protect one another, and he wants to navigate. He has his core value. But common sense will tell you that there is no way you can navigate that minefield of corruption and without stepping on a landmine. And now, if you step on a landmine, for some of you that know what a landmine is, you could have your leg amputated, you could have something. So you need somebody to guide you through the minefield. Sometimes may not be the best person. Sometimes it will be bad people, but you need somebody to guide you through. Political merger is not unusual in Liberia, especially with the proliferation of political parties. We have almost 20-something political parties. If these guys came together and think that we have to take on President Weah, yes, I do believe that some of these guys are something, but I will not beat on Mr. Cummings. I will not question his judgment or his integrity because of those things. Here's a man that is doing, Liberia is not a typical country. Here's a man that is doing what he has to do to get where he wants to go. Because let's not forget.
Thank you.
Let me just say this last point. Let's not forget that the president has the most power in Liberia. Unlike other countries where we have separation of power, where they have co-equal power, the president wields the most power in Liberia. So if you are the president, you can get a lot more done than any other position in Liberia because the president controls everything. So in order to change that system, you must first ascend to that position. How do you get there? So
thank you, Mr. Fariga, and thank you, Robert. For those joining us, this is focused on Liberia Sunday night debate. And just to set the premise, I will ask you, Robert, first, and ask R, so that those joining us will know the basis of the discussion. Robert, what you are saying, in essence, is you question Mr. Cummings' decision-making and judgment, and one example is why did he join the CPP? Because the people that are in the CPP you listed, them are corrupt or their hands are not clean. So you question why he has to be a part of that. Is that your point? You are muted.
Yes, yeah. Am I?
No. Go ahead.
Go ahead now.
Just to summarize, though, I think what I'm saying is this, right? When you talk about change in Liberia, all of our candidates have spoke about change. The question and our confusion is who is the real change agent, right? It's easier to talk about change than actually live change. It's
right, Robert. I want to be clear.
So what I'm questioning in essence is if Cummings wants to change Liberia, and he said in 2017 that these guys were the part of that which he wanted to change. They were part of everything that was wrong with Liberia. Why is he part of them now? Why does he see them as one? Why does he see himself as one of them, qualified enough to help him bring about the changes that we desire?
When you say part of them, what do you mean?
Well, he's in an alliance with them.
Thank you.
If you're in an alliance with them, do you guys share the same core values? Are you the same change agent? Are you trying to change the same things? And so those are the things I question.
Right, and just to add up, he was in the same alliance with them. Remember the Ganta Compact in 2017? At the time, you supported him. How is that different?
Well, no, I didn't support him. I had a favorable toward as far as what we were looking for in 2017.
Right. I mean, at that time he was in the Ganta Accord, right? Put them together.
Right. But the Ganta Accord, I'm not sure if that actually was anything that materialized. I don't think it's not materialized. It didn't materialize at the level as CPP right now. So I don't think that's
that's different.
Comparison. Yes, it's different.
All right. Let me go to you. You're saying Cummings, even though the characters that Robert mentioned are who he says they are, you are saying that's the only way he can get what he wants, because in Liberia there is no clean hand. So he has to dance with the devil to get his ambition through. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Yes, sort of. That is what I'm saying. You have to be realistic. I mean, you cannot go to like I said, to a minefield of bad politicians and say now you're not going to protect yourself. One thing I think I need to remind Mr. Robert is that the president has the most power in Liberia. Our democracy is of such that we give way too much power to the executive. The executive can make a lot of change in life. How do you become the executive? Are you willing to allow those roadblocks to block you? I don't think it take away from his core value. He said something because he joined them, so they all have the same core value. If you have read the framework document, the real reason behind that whole merger is strength in removing President Trump. You look at our political system, because of the proliferation of political parties, it is almost impossible for anyone to win an all-red majority in the first round. That is a fact. I don't think we can debate that. So the reason people gather, they maintain the political institution, but they have gathered together for one reason, and that is to gather the strength to remove George Weah from power. So it has been agreed that they do not like the direction of the country and they want a change. How can we find that strength to move again a very young president, a group of people that do not play by the rules, a group of people that now have unlimited access, unchecked access to our national coffer? How do you defeat that? Can you do it individually? No. We saw that during the just ended by-elections. There was no way that the opposition could have made or been like Darius Dillon or Senator had they gone separate. That was the most expensive by-election I've ever seen. I'll probably say, I stand to be corrected, but I'll probably say one of the most expensive by-election ever.
Mr. Fariga, Mr. Fariga, if I may interject, so if I'm understanding you correct, you are saying every bar medicine, every bar so require a bar medicine. Though Mr. Cummings knows that these people, they are bad people, they have questionable characters. He even said it before, that they don't have the right mindset. Let me learn. They don't have the right mindset for Liberia. But because we have a bad soul, we need to use the bad medicine. That is what I'm hearing here.
Well, if that's how you would want to term it, I would say that is it somewhere in that line. You have to do what you have to do.
And you think that is the best Mr. Cummings can do?
There isn't any other way. I have checked it. I have checked it back and forth, front and back. Here's
the thing. I don't want to interrupt you again. Here's the thing, right? I agree with you when you said, look, one single individual presidential candidate can't win it. I agree 100%. Can Mr. Cummings or he and his party put a coalition together? Malians, these kind of characters that he himself has questioned? He doesn't have that option? Are there not good people in Liberia? Because it's like these are the only people in Liberia who are in politics. These are the only parties he can work with and manage them. There's no other way. Go ahead.
Good is relative in life. Good is relative. And the reason why I'm saying this, and I want to be as candid as possible, what you consider good, is it the American definition of good? Because we tend to emulate the American democracy. That means someone with squeaky clean image, someone that have clean hands. That is not something that we see often in Liberia. So, and the reason I brought this all is because what we see as good and bad, the voters, the constituents don't see it. Let's not forget that these people that we are talking about, they are powerful and influential people in Liberia. You mentioned Joseph Boakai. Here's an old man that has stayed almost 40-something years in government. He came second. He won almost close to 500,000 votes. In our mind, we have enough reason to question the Liberian people's decision, because here's a man that spent 12 years as vice president. Here's a man that have worked in so many questionable government. There's a man that we can go down a list of things that he has done or didn't do in Liberia for which we can judge him. For mind you, it's you and me. What about those people that actually matters, that goes to the poll? Do they see the same thing? So you see the kind of thing that we have to deal with. These people, look at Uri for that matter. Uri is one of the wealthiest. At one point, they say he was one of the wealthiest Liberian person in Liberia. You're talking about wealth. Money brings respect. It brings power. He works for the telephone company. Imagine how much influence Mr. Uri has. Go to Musa Belete. Musa Belete is a millionaire. Musa Belete was so how he unveiled tons of trucks. We have to be realistic.
So the idea is Cummings used to, you're going to collaborate with them, and he's going to win. And then out of his sudden, he will tell them, say, hey, guys, you're not good enough. Get to the bike. And then he will the clean government. You think that is possible?
Can I jump in?
I'm not saying that he should just automatically, because we do not want to create a state of chaos. I'm not saying he should automatically something, but as the head of state of the Republic of Liberia, he can change that mindset because it starts with the head. If the leader is straight, all the tail will fall in line.
Thank you. That comes to you, Mr. Gagwa. Then let's go ahead.
Gagwa, what are the options for Mr. Cummings to win an election besides collaborating with other political parties?
Well, look, it troubles me when we limit ourselves in Liberia, and I think Anthony just made one of the points that I just noted. My brother talked about the lesser of two evils. Are we mandated to be limited to the lesser of two evils in Liberia when it comes to politics and it comes to how we elect our leaders? Look, the fact of the matter is, in 2017, there were 26 political parties that were certified by the NEC. 26. Liberia is not a two-party system. Come on. Are you kidding me? 26. And of these 26 political parties that were certified to contest the election in Liberia, you could only pick the Unity Party that just a few years ago you rejected on some very sound grounds. That one, they had squandered opportunities, the resources given to them. They have failed when it came to educational reform in Liberia, job creation. Are you kidding me? When it came to fighting corruption, when it came to healthcare, Ebola exposed, in as much as it was one of those unexpected. It exposed how bad our health system was. Are you telling me that Benina Uri, the political leader of all Liberian parties, was one of the only 26 political parties Alex Cummings had options to form an alliance with, to radically change Liberia? I don't believe that. The fact of the matter is no secret that Africa's greatest access is percent of African population, and Liberia is no exception. But have you wondered why the political participants are overwhelmingly elders? Now, how do you explain you have a population that is 60% more, but you have a group of folks that are way in age gap that are
Mr. Gagwa.
It just doesn't make sense to me. Let me lay on this real quick.
Right. I mean, the question is, what are his options? And you were saying he could pick.
The point that I'm making is there's many options. I said 26 political parties.
No, just tell me, be clear.
I don't want to name these political parties. There are 26 legitimate legal political parties recognized.
And Robert, we're talking about numbers here, right? The other political parties that you're mentioning, how strong? What is their strength? You want to comment on that?
Okay, so yeah, I would. Which brings me back to my fear.
Mm-hmm.
My fear, and it brings me back to this question. I think all of us have to ponder this question.
Okay.
What are we willing to sacrifice to get to the presidency and achieve this change we desire?
Can Alex Cummings, if we talk about the numbers, well, guess what? Prince Johnson is one of the most influential politicians in Liberia. Okay? Whoever he endorses gets Nima County, and Nima County is one of the largest counties in Liberia with regards to numbers. If Alex Cummings accepts a Prince Johnson endorsement, Anthony, you be honest, you're a smart man, Fatiga, Dennis Jar, are you telling me Alex Cummings will convince me that he's the guy to bring a war crimes court in Liberia?
Robert, the essence of running election is to win, so you have to find a way to win, right?
But you win election, you can win election and still keep in touch what you believe, your core values. You can win election without compromising your integrity, and you can win election by forming alliances with those who share those things that you shared.
So, Robert, let me put it to you this way. Robert, let me put it to you this way. Yeah, hold on, gentlemen. We have George Weah now in power. He rolled with the very Prince Johnson. He's in power. If George Weah should decide today I'm breaking a war crime code, you think Prince Johnson has the power to stop that?
We'll never do that.
Never make sure his mind to do so.
George Weah, and I will say this for the first time, and you and I know this for a fact, and Fatiga even knows this for a fact. You have a re-election coming up in 2023. That's a few years from now. Do you not think that George Weah is smart enough to talk about war crimes court? He would have spoken about it 4 years ago. When you have an election in 2023 and he knows very well that Nima County is up for grabs, are you kidding me? George Weah would never ever speak about war crimes court. Perhaps, and I use perhaps very, very strategically. Perhaps after the election in 2023, and even after the election in 2023, whoever Prince Johnson publicly endorses in 2023 cannot convince me that he or she is fit to bring war crimes court in Liberia and will be persecuting those who have helped them financially per numbers, got them to the executive mansion. It hasn't worked, and it will not work after 2023.
Mr. Gagwa, let me ask you there, then we can go to Fariga. Number one, how does being in a political alliance with Joseph Boakai, for instance, Mr. Cummings is compromising anything? Two, hold on. Let me finish. So, two, when you are running for office, you are looking for numbers, majority. So, are you also saying Cummings should only canvass to people to vote for him based on those who agree with his core values or those who he share his core values with? Is that what you are alluding to?
No, that's not what I'm alluding to. I think that Liberia,
because after the election, Unity Party came second. You have the Liberty Party. So I mean, isn't it just obvious that these are the people you want to be in alliance with if you want to defeat the incumbent? Isn't that common sense?
Well, look, Liberia is a country of almost 5 million people, right?
I agree, but you want to get the top tier.
Yeah, but the top tier. But here is what I'm saying. I don't think that you need to not work with people in the interest of Liberia just because they don't share your core values. What I'm saying is this. When you have said over and over that these very people whom you now work with were bad for Liberia, that the characters, the mindset, the behavior, the integrity of these people talk about corruption, everything that is wrong with what Cummings wants to change. And I hope the audience understands where I'm coming from. If everything is wrong with Anthony is a millionaire, and I'm trying to come into focus on Liberia and change the structure on focus on Liberia. Anthony, of course, is an inside guy at focus on Liberia. If I want to change that structure, are you telling me that I'm the guy, Anthony is the only guy to work with to change that structure? How can I do it? It's not possible. So what I'm saying,
but do you need Anthony's support? Using your logic, do you need Anthony's support?
Because
he's bad, you're throwing the baby away with the bathwater.
If Anthony wants to support me, that will be Anthony's decision. Look,
will you ask for Anthony's support?
I will not.
One
second, let me say this. Let me make this analogy. In the election in 2008, President Obama
was close to a guy, Reverend Wright. He was Obama's spiritual advisor, right? And before that tip came out, when he said the things that he said, Obama distanced himself from it. You think Reverend Wright didn't vote for Obama? Of course he did. You think Obama didn't indirectly still needed Reverend Wright and his audience and his congregation support? No, but he did what was right. He did what was right. And what I'm saying is this: Cummings has continuously talked about doing what is right, even if it will cost him the presidency. But his actions has not matched.
Probably some internet issues there. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Focus on Liberia.
Am I back? Am I good?
Yeah,
back now.
We'll
Please
conclude
conclude.
that so we can go to Mr. Fariga.
Yeah, and so his actions have not matched that which he continues to say, and which raises the question and that I have.
Mr. Fariga, your response.
Well, I was kind of falling asleep here. I thought you guys forgot about me. Well, to respond to Robert, like I said, you have to be realistic. 2017, the top five political parties after George Weah was the ALP, the United Party, the ANC, and the LP.
No, the ALP was not part of the top five.
The LP.
Yeah.
Who was Sandy? Or it was LP. It was ANC. UP.
Prince Johnson was
Prince Johnson, and then how do you call it? CDC. But ALP came, I think, fifth, sixth or something, because I'm sure ALP was among those recognized. I think he got some vote. The rest, some of them got 10, 5, 0. So you mentioned 26 political parties. But like I said, we do have a proliferation of political parties, which is, in my opinion, is a mockery of democracy. Because these guys, some of these guys just create these parties so that they can have some voice when it comes to negotiation. They're not really anything. They are dead with. They don't have any relevance. So if you look at the CPP right now, how many parties do you see? Don't you see those, with the exception of Prince Johnson, don't you see all those people? Politics is a number game. I think Mr. Robert is forgetting that this is not a church. This is not a religious event. This is politics. And in politics, people make strange bedfellows. I know you just used the US as an example. Up to now, I still don't understand why so many people that have worked hard all through their life, made career. Some of them, most of them were millionaires. They sat under Donald Trump and lost their integrity only because they wanted power. It shows what power can do. Liberia is a different country, my friend. Like I said, we have to be very realistic. Liberia is not America. Those people that we think are questionable do have people that follow them. That's the sad reality. Even a man that can sit on radio and insult mothers, insult women, give some of the worst insult, you see that educated Liberians go there to watch him and cheer him on. Liberia is not a usual or your typical country. We have our own issues that we can deal with.
Mr. Fariga, that is normalizing bad behavior. Is that what you want to do?
It's not normal. I'm not normalizing it. It is what it is. I'm not condemning it. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm saying that in order to change it, you have to have a seat on the table.
We should get with the game.
If you're not in.
You have to have a seat at the table with the bad guys.
With anybody. You have to be in. You have to be on the table. You cannot be an all-star. The thing is, it is what it is. How we got there, we can talk about it. We can blame the war. We can blame all those different things. We can blame the lack of education. We can blame illiteracy. We can blame all that. We have enough blame to go around.
Right.
We have enough blames to go around. But the problem here is, it is what it is. We find ourselves at this crossroad. How do we make it to create the Liberia that we envision for ourselves, the Liberia that Robert will feel very comfortable, the Liberia that candidates that are running for office will know that they are in good standing with the law, they are reputable citizens, that the electorate will not have to worry. How can we create that Liberia? You first thing first, the president has enough power, enormous power in Liberia. But how do you become president in such an environment?
So Mr. Fariga, how does that, what you just stated, how does that square up with what Mr. Cummings has said over and over? We cannot continue to do the same thing and expect different results. All
right, but same thing, you see, that statement is another relative statement.
Okay.
We say expect to do the same thing.
Right, piling around with
is Mr. Cummings president. I think honor of Cummings presidency, based on everything he has said and his plan that he has for Liberia, honor of Cummings presidency, I think the first thing that we're going to see happening is, he said the other day the rule of law. I listened to him. I'm not going to, attempt to be his spokesperson. I'm not an official member of the ANC. I'm just.
Are you unofficial?
Someone that have admired his politics, and someone that is very pragmatic. I've looked at our political landscape. I think he's in a very good position at this time, and until we can see anybody else, I think he's one of those people that are in the top tier to transform that country. So I think if given a chance to lead, he will be able to lead by example. But how do you get there? So when you talk about doing the same thing, we should not just cherry pick what is considered same thing. In order to make that change, to change that thing, you have to be on the table, or you have to be the president. He is trying to get there. When he's there, and then you want to judge him based on that. But this man is not the president yet. In order to get there, there are so many ways to get there. I mean, there are not so many ways to get there. You know, like you asked Robert, or how, what other way he can get it. There isn't. He mentioned, will you form political alliance with a political institution that happened to? Look, the first thing here is we have to deal with so many things. We have ignorance to deal with. We have the tribal politics we have to deal with. We have so many things stack up against a good candidate. The reason why we have not been able to select the president to really transform that country, look at for a long time, George Weah were in the way. Any viable candidate never stood a chance because the youth were behind him. The people believed that he had this magic wand, that because he was so generous to the Liberian people during the war, he would have continued that path. And because of the sea, look, Liberia is a politics of charity. Liberia is a country where a politician will go to a village, do not give them any plane, just give them rice, give them oil, give them whatever condiment to put on it, and then truck a bunch of people, give them $10, they go and vote, and then the next day, they wonder, why is it there is no clinic? Why is it there isn't any road going in my area? Why is it done? Because they do not have any agreement. They do not ask for these things. They just go. So we have a whole lot of teaching to do.
Thank you.
So in order to change that system, you must first find the right people to get there, and then we can change that system. So one day, maybe one day, if we have cleaned that system and put the right people in place, then we can start talking about or create, set a new standard for how politics should be, how
Thank
to
you.
select our representative. But until then, how else? There isn't any other way.
Thank
We
you.
have to deal with the bad apples on the ground.
Thank you. And we'll go to the specifics of some of the Cummings' decisions and judgment. We're going to go into the specific. But earlier we asked that you should watch Focus on Labrador this time on the big screen. And viewers are watching Focus on Labrador on big screen and they are sharing their story. This one comes from Mrs. Ivy Tyler. She's watching the show on the big screen. So if you are watching the show on your big screens, don't hesitate to send us your screenshot or your photos. Here at Focus on Labrador, we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. Mr. Robert Glegman Gagwa Jr. is questioning Mr. Cummings' decision-making, his judgment, and his plans. Mr. Fariga is saying, not so fast. This is the only option we have. So we're going to go into specifics of some of the things, the decision Mr. Cummings has made, and we'll see whether good or bad or whether Mr. Gagwa questioned them or not. Mr. Osir, let's go ahead.
Yep, talking about decisions Mr. Cummings has made in the past or continue to make. Let's read some of them, and then we will bring in the gentleman to debate. Number one, Cummings and ANC joined.
That's what we've been dealing with. So
okay, yeah, they joined the CPP. Number two, Cummings' approval of the election to bombastic press conference, and we got a little clip that we'll play for you so you remember, those of you who don't remember that. Then Cummings walking out of the political leaders meeting, and then Cummings boycotting Joseph Yuma Boaka's coronation, Cummings boycotting JSB's takeover as CPP's chair, then Cummings non-attendance of Chairman Boaka's first call meeting as CPP chair, Cummings support and financial contribution to Boto Kane, who is now collecting all the check in the upper house in Liberia, and Cummings' decision to travel with Yeke Koluba in the southeast. Some of you remember Mr. Cummings got into the situation he couldn't handle, and I said that because he was defending Yeke Koluba's behavior. Yeke Koluba is a lawmaker who in public spaces all the time insult a sitting president. Mr. Cummings rose with him. Also, Cummings' decision to dance with ANC women in Minnesota. This is the juicy part, and let us play that little clip.
Yeah, let's start with that because I like to watch Cummings dance.
Yeah, the guy can dance. Let's see that. All right,
right.
folks, there you
Yeah,
have
man.
it. Take it from me.
Robert, do you support that decision, or are you jealous, or what's up with the dance?
Look, I see nothing wrong with that. Look, I was always told growing up that you know, if you went out and you started to dance with with a woman, and she says no, don't insist. If a man tells you, hey, my guy, stop, don't bother my girl, my wife, stay away. But hey, in a setting like that, it was a political event, and it seems like those ladies who support Cummings were having fun with him, and I see nothing wrong with that. Actually, I enjoyed it.
All right. So good decision to
Good
dance.
decision. Good decision. Yes.
Let me tell you something. When I look at that video, I see three things, probably more than three. I see energy or an energetic president or presidential hopeful, something that we will not see within the CPP. I see someone that has enough energy to go against the former soccer player that have enough energy himself. I saw women empowerment. That is not something that I saw in most of the other rallies, especially the boycott rally. If you look at almost all the events that they had, women, they are doing terrible. In Liberia, you know, you look at our demographic, we have a lot of women in that country. And Cummings is doing very well with women. And when you look around the world right now, anything that is women related is something that sells a lot. And despite Cummings being a very good dancer, I don't think I can even match his dance. He has a weird, a crazy move. I won't even go down. I probably won't get up. It's just so, you know, how much energy we have in I think it's a different thing. So I saw women empowerment there. I saw energy, and I saw a man that is willing to reach out to his people, mingle with them.
Thank you, Mr. Fariga. I think both of you agree on the dance. So let's move on.
Let me say this one last thing. One last thing. Dennis, you know, until the last time that I met Cummings, that was my first time meeting Mr. Cummings. I've always heard people saying that Mr. Cummings is not charismatic. That's a lie. I think they do a terrible job or showing his charisma. Mr. Cummings is very charismatic, and I think we saw that show in his dance move and the way he was interacting with those people.
Thank you. So at least we decided to do that so that both of you can agree. Now let's move on to things you disagree on. I know Mr. CA listed a lot of them here.
Can we go one by one, please?
Yeah, we'll go two by two.
We don't want to go one by one. Then we'll not get to the plans. You want us to go one by one?
We saw the illustrious to bombastic press conference and Mr. Cummings walking out of the political leaders meeting. Let's take those two.
Well, look, I look, just looking at the press conference, I had a few thoughts about it. But look, we don't have time. But I thought that Cummings was being attacked, and to some extent unfairly. Look, the machine from the other side of the CPP were calling him a criminal. That's a very strong word for men who have walked around as Mr. Clean Hands, right? And so he was under attack, and I think the party needed a response. Now, whether or not that was the kind of response and the way it was delivered, whether or not that was the kind of response needed.
Mr. Cummings approved it. Do you agree with that decision?
I think definite press conference. If I was advising Cummings, though, I would have preferred Cummings address those issues personally at that press conference rather than his national secretary. But I definitely think it was needed.
You mean the approval was a great decision to have approved such a bombastic press conference in which Alosha called Ure a puppet master to Costa?
Well, no, I think the press conference was needed. Again, I question the approach and the deliverance of the of some of the things that was said out there. But I definitely
But
think
he approved the language in there, isn't it?
if he approved the language in it, then I think that was a bad decision. Again, because you want to you want to
Mr. Fariga.
yeah, yeah.
Well, let's before we go on beating Mr. Cummings, let us look at the genesis of this whole thing. And that was one of the reasons I even started to support Mr. Cummings, because I didn't want him to be another victim. We woke up one morning while the CPP was doing well. I mean, under his leadership, we had streaks of win. Darius Dillon, Young Willie Kanga, all those people, them won elections during his tenure as the chairman of the CPP. And then all of a sudden, we saw this letter that called him some nefarious act to alter the document and did that. And next morning, we see Costa calling him finger roll, bring our document in. And the next thing is just put a dark cloud over a man that have worked hard to safeguard his reputation. Someone that is, I consider, the most authentic member of the CPP. Someone that has no ties to any other little mess that the guy go, excuse my language, but I couldn't find, for lack of better word, that has gone on in that country. And this is the oldest tactics in Liberia politics, where they muddy the water, they make everybody appear dirty so that you cannot question me, because they want everybody to look the same. And until they came up with those bogus allegations, he has maintained a clean hand. There's no doubt that he's one of the cleanest politicians in Liberia, among the
Thank you.
So
Thank you. Let me fast on this one because there are many that we want to just show quickly. So let's be very quick.
I'm just trying to share light on the genesis of the thing and why Elisha Stowe did what he did. It was a lie. You know, they clearly lied on him, and we can see that they are damping down the rhetorics, and they wanted to go away and pretend like it never happened. But they did lie on him. And Liberia is a country that if people can just lie. I've been a victim of smear campaign. People will just say things about you. They don't know you. They will say things about you only because they can. And if you do not fight it, people will believe. And Costa have mastered their act of deception. What he does is they put out misleading information in there. We saw what he did. They put out documents out there. When I went to read the document and compare it to the original framework document, nothing changed. They kept confusing the audience. And most people would not have, they know that people would not have the chance to read this document, so they just put out misinformation. So I think what Dr. Stowe was responding in kind. Was that the best approach? Could there have been another approach to it? But I think it was the silly season and everybody was going crazy. So I won't fault him for that. I don't think Mr. Cummings would have fought him for that either, because we have seen Omen Boyka just as recent as the town hall meeting yesterday, when someone gave a completely bogus and fake allegation against, maybe a completely bogus and fake allegation against Mr. Cummings, and he never rejected or debunked it. And we are seeing him quietly allow people to do this thing, and he just doesn't say anything.
Thank you.
So I think, and then there was another one. What was the second one again?
Okay. Let's go to these two now. Number
what
one.
Was the second one?
Yeah, let me put these two together now. Mr. Cummings walking out of the political leaders meeting, and also Mr. Cummings boycotting the Unity Party's convention, which we call Joseph Boakar's coronation. He didn't go there. Good decision, bad decision.
I think that walking out of the meeting, though, one of the things that I question, is that you expect the leaders of any institution to familiarize themselves with that institutions, whether it's the policies or constitutions or bylaws, right? And so it just sounded absurd that Cummings, Miss Lawrence, and Ben and I will go to a meeting and make an uniform decision, a decision that did not conform with that of the Constitution they have drafted. And so he had to go home and actually got checked by one of his members of his team, and it really, I was like, wait a minute, did Cummings not know that the decisions they were making was unconstitutional and not within the boundaries of their constitution?
So Robert, walking out was bad.
It was bad. It was bad.
All right, yeah, let's be brief on this one because we have more. The second one was he didn't go to the Unity Party's convention.
I think that was a bad idea. What did it solve? What did it solve? Did it was it to say that Miss Lawrence chairmanship was illegitimate? I don't understand the purpose purpose for which they didn't attend. I think it was a bad idea, and just to make it.
He wrote a letter to that, but
yeah, and no, what are you talking about? When this was the Unity Party's convention that selected Joseph Boakai as the standard bearer, he didn't attend it. The next thing he didn't attend is the Boakai's takeover of the CPP. So those three, go ahead on those three.
Well, his coronation at that time, I read a letter. I think it was a little bit too harsh, but there are so many things that precipitated that. There are so many things that we could blame on that. So I thought he could have found, given a politically correct statement, like find an excuse that he was going out of the country and probably send a representative there.
Exactly.
But his letter was, I think it went something along the effect that they didn't want to be part of an illegal process and something. But I think he should allow the Unity Party to handle the thing and just stay out of it. I don't think that was a wise decision for that. I would be very candid. When I saw it, I'm like, no, they should have just stayed away from that. But like I said, so many things happen. The question before this, that's the one I'm interested in. Can you pull it back? The question before that coronation, there was another one that I need to answer. Walk off the political plane. That was a very good decision. Let me tell you something. This is a collaboration of 4 political parties. And the constituents were led to believe that they would have had a good vetting process and go through a democratic process of selecting the best candidate. And we saw somewhere along the line, Liberty ALP say, I won't part of it. I brought me here to support Boycott. So he has already circumvented the democratic process. He didn't give his constituent or anybody chance to actually make decisions. He's like, no one will already supporting Boycott. He's our guy. So the next thing you see a split in the Liberty Party, Yombudi Kanga trying to go on the other side. So I think these guys tried to bully Mr. Cummings. They wanted to bully him into accepting something that I think was a scheme. When he caught on it, it was almost too late. They had already, because it is stated in a framework document that you could be expelled for something for similar thing that they were accusing him of. So if he had accepted some responsibility for something that he didn't do, that could have been reason to expel him and make him to not even be able to contest. But I thought he did the right thing by walking out.
I think his walking out was more leaning towards his concern relative to an agenda that he had brought to their attention before, and then when he went back, they still did not have an agenda, and they decided to discuss that which he had a concern of. And so my question is, again, he was part of that decision making, and I expect leaders, okay, in Cummings' position to familiarize themselves with the Constitution that governs them. If our leaders don't know what is wrong and right, they should be making informed decisions. And if they don't know what is wrong or right, that should be checked before decisions are made. What if Cummings were at the executive mansion? He would have made a decision as consequential to the country before coming back and saying, "Oh, I was told after the fact." Well, that's too late. And so again, it didn't serve no purpose to walk out because the decision in question was made. He was part of the decision making.
Thank you.
To serve.
Yep. Let me move to the next one. Then is Cummings non-attendance of Chairman Bwaka's first call meeting. That's one. And let's throw this other one in. ANC and Cummings use of ALP headquarters. You want to go first on this too?
Can I go? There's a collaboration. There's a marriage here we're talking about. I don't see anything wrong with Cummings going to the Liberty Party's headquarters. If they were in the best of terms as a collaborating political party, and if people didn't have any ulterior motive, or people didn't have any other thing against something, I think it would have been fine. Nobody won't be hearing about this. I see nothing wrong with him, especially if the party had accepted him to use the thing. I don't think it was perfectly normal. What happened here is,
Mr. Fariga, the political leader said no. It was the chairman who agreed, and the political leader is the leader.
How the ALP, the Liberty Party works. We saw how Yongbudi Kanga. Yongbudi is biased. She has been biased through all this thing, and they have had their own internal fight with how the power, with the power structure of the Liberty Party. We saw that early on during the year, sometime in the middle of the year, when they took Mr. Ability to court, stating that he changed the constitution to give himself more power. So the political leader, unlike other political institutions, doesn't have absolute power.
But she said she was not in a know. She was not informed at all.
She was not in the country. How could she be in the know when she was not in the country?
She's just a phone call away or an email away. She said there was no email communication to her.
According to Mr. Ability, he tried reaching out to her. He didn't get her. So what? I mean, this is a marriage. It's like
you have that is a good excuse. This is a major decision by the party, and the political leader needed not to know about this.
What is so big about one political institution? We have the Unity Party that it is alleged that they have not even paid their dues. Have they been removed from the union?
No, Mr. You are introducing something new. Here is the thing. If the Liberty Party is having their own internal problems, like the chairman and the political leader are not in agreement, why will Mr. Cummings insert himself in there?
How do we know that it is a problem? For all we know, there isn't any problem.
We know it's a problem, Al. They have been fighting, like you alluded to, the Constitution and all that.
The use of the headquarters was in dispute, right? The PL said no. Mr. DeLong, Senator DeLong,
let's not forget that the reason why we cannot take Yongbudi and Dillon or voice as the gospel is because they are biased. They have shown bias towards Cummings through all the process.
That's their party, right? Mr. Cummings is not going to go in there and say, well, since you are biased against me, I'm going to make the determination for the Liberty Party. Let the Liberty Party decide. Let them resolve their issue.
I don't think he was melting. He was meddling in their business. I think what he was doing, he asked to use the premise. They allow him to do it, use it, and he used it. We saw a well-attended program.
He knew that there was a fight in the party. The party is divided as to which way to go. So to have asked them to use their party headquarters, he knew that was going to be a problem. Or even if he didn't.
Look at that event. Wasn't that a successful event?
It doesn't matter, but
we're not looking at the success. It's the decision to go in a house of a couple that's fighting, and you say you want to have your birthday party there. That's what we're looking at. Let's come to Robert. Robert, what's our good decision?
If all the children and all the parents allow you to go there, I will go there.
Look, I said when this thing happened, the analogy that I used is almost like a stepfather budging into the home of a man who is still married to a wife, even though the man has disapproved the presence of anyone, at least to say a guy that is dating his wife when they're legally married. Are you kidding me? Look,
even if he is an abusive husband, some people are very abusive.
Well, that's the detail.
One at a time, Al. Let him go.
Well, let me land. The devil, the detail is in the devil. That's a whole different conversation. the devil is whatever it is, but
the details. The devil in the details.
That was in the details. His decision to go to Liberty Party headquarters for a welcome back home political event in the face of that party's internal crisis might have made Cummings to look strong. But yet again, this was another decision that left me head scratching, my brother. And here is why. Good leaders normally tend to calm the storm. They don't ignite it. That to me was more ability. This was Musa's ability proving a point to his political leader relative to who was more powerful than the other. Cummings just happened to be the middle guy, considering the smell campaign led by Senator Lawrence against him and his character. You can't do that. You can't do that. Yes, I understand it's a collaboration. I understand it's a marriage. But when you have 2-3 wives in the house, you know who's number one, wife number one. Let me speak my real library English. You know wife number 2 and wife number 3. There are rules, there are guidelines to addressing these issues by the husband. Tradition call for these guidelines. And so, given all of what had happened, I understand Cummings' feelings, okay? And especially these are people that have continuously called Cummings a stranger. And one of the things I said was, imagine a stranger having such an influence. But the fact of the matter is, this would not have happened under Charles Bronson's leadership. Anything Charles Bronson did and said, he got his wishes. And by then, the Constitution or the leadership guidelines of the Liberty Party was still the same as it is today. But it was just bad.
And may I interject this for the two of you?
Can I say something?
Hold on. Let me throw this in quickly. As a result of that decision, right, the Liberty Party now is the Nyomble wings of the Liberty Party now is saying they are funny and not headquarters because they know that Musa Ability was influential in getting a particular headquarters. He has absolute control over it. So that decision has further deepened the crisis within the Liberty Party. And somebody will point accusing finger as Cummings too.
Well, let it so be it. This is not a religious event. There's a man, there's a lady. You guys should not be talking as if you're talking about sin. If we want to use the marriage analogy, this is an abusive wife. She has abused everything in that relationship. Honor her wife. She created this halubalu, this fake allegation. She came all read a bunch of statements that she shouldn't have done, and she kept pointing fingers at Cummings. So these are not friends. She has shown him who she is. She has shown that she doesn't like him. It is clear to her action or that she favors boycott over him. And one, nobody is doing a disservice to the Liberian people. This whole CPP process should have been.
That is why Cummings should not have gone there. Then you said it right.
Cummings is fighting to be the number one. Let me tell you something. Had it not been for Musa Ability, but now this thing is over, they were giving her an old man that probably is not even capable of winning. He's not even capable of, he's not capable of winning Georgia. And by now, they would have forced automatically made a boycott the standard bearer of the CPP and forcing down with truth. We should be taking responsibility for saving the democratic process.
Dennis, give me 30 seconds, please.
Thank you.
30 seconds, please. 30 seconds, please. Let me just make this clear. I've said over and over that this woman is a failure. Remember when I said that during the midterm election?
It's terrible.
Interestingly, people who are now questioning her leadership were insulting our intelligence back then. But that's fine. I question her leadership skills, her leadership capabilities. It is incumbent upon her to earn the same respect Charles Bronson earned as Liberty Party political leader. I get all of that. That's beyond the point. This has more to do with Cummings' decision and how he handles adversities and all of these different crises than it is with Miss Lawrence. I think it would have been best. It would have been a smart decision if I was advising Cummings. Look, this would have made you look strong politically. Oh, they say you're a stranger. Look, now the stranger, it has more influence over the chairman of the political party of this woman. But again, what he did only ignited the internal crisis within the Liberty Party. And if you are forming a collaboration and you want the collaboration to stand, as they have continuously said, how does this help?
Well, she clearly doesn't care about him. She have already pledged her support for Joseph Walker. So either way, Cummings is moving on. And what I saw there at the Liberty Party headquarters, it shows strength. It shows a defiant Cummings, who, against all odds, against all the field smear campaign, he defied everything and he came out victorious. We saw the crowd that came to that place. We saw the triumph welcome, and they said that people were not going to come. They were going to disrupt. It shows who has the power. It shows who has the power. And I think he needed to show that power. He needed to show that strength. And in fact,
and that all it did. But it further weakens the CPP.
Thank you. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to read your comments. Again, this is focused on Liberia. Debate between Mr. Robert Gagwa Jr. and Hussein Fariga, aka Prophet Truth. Well, we're getting a lot of prophets around here. We'll be right back.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
And I am Anson Sia. We are back with you folks. At this time, we will be going to your comments. And to our debaters, I think earlier when we started the debate, we told you we have 2 segments because of time. We wanted things to be 2 hours. And within that 2 hours, we plan to bring in comments as well. So we'll keep the second segment of the debate for another time. We will talk with you guys off air to see if we can bring you back to talk only on the plans. So at this time, we will go to comments and bring in the viewers for them to chime in. And after that, we'll bring you back in to continue the debate. Dennis, let's get started.
River says Cummings is a decent and career-driven guy. Ambassador Muna Fahad, how do you know Mr. Cummings approved Councillor Toe's response? You forgot? Hamilton Zilli, I would have thought Mr. Cummings, along with the ANC, was going to launch a revolution of change by strategically and rigorously focusing on the young population through intentional education for about 6 years. By then, he must have impacted and changed the mindset of many young people as well as some older folks. Hence, that will set the stage for his presidency. Let him take cue from Julius Malema.
Bango.
George Preston Lobo, this guy is not answering the question at all. He's just running all over the place.
Yeah, the one from Edmond Songa. It is true that Cummings was screwed up by his 3 colleagues, but he too has overplayed his hand in a few instances. Shall we let bygones be bygones and have the CPP move forward as it's the only way to defeat President Weah?
Jimmy Barton, I'm strongly opposed to him and disagree with you, sir. Promoting Cummings will never make him president of Liberia.
Like yeah, from Moses Dwyer Wontu, I believe, walking out of the meeting was not mature on his part. He needed not have walk away from the meeting.
Keep your comments coming here.
Let's read this one from Fala Taylor. Hassan, I think you are the right person to defend Mr. Cummings because you are not strong. Wow. You are not strong, most especially when it comes to debating the issue.
Hussein Fariga, right under this post, some people who barely know us are spewing nonsense and unbiased allegations against us. That's the twin brother of Hussein Fariga.
And I hear from Prince. Prince writes, Robert seemed less informed, or perhaps is disregarding that fact to the issue, maybe the fact to the issue, walking out of a meeting that deviates from the agenda and disregard this meeting for making right wrong.
Yankwa Gigan Bowman, FYI, the CPP is still using the very framework document they claim was authored. This is why the ANC needs to clarify as to which document we are operating with. River says, Pro, I highly respect DMB. I think retirement will be a better option for him. You will have my utmost respect.
A year from Daniel. Daniel writes, since 2017, what has DMB been doing after the elections? Have he written any books, or does GMB lecture at any of those universities?
Mona Fahad, Cummings walked out of the meeting when they started talking about black voting and boycotting the primary. The other parties are trying to play unfair games.
Let's hear from Malisan Yadulo. I hope I got it right. Josh Lobo, you disgrace yourself and walk out on stage in Philadelphia. Move from here with desperation to get job in Liberia.
Mozala Gizi, it is very disappointing to listen to Fariga supporting such behavior. Then someone has a message for us here. To the host, that was none of his business. This program was his concern. I don't get that quite clearly.
Like earlier from Otovius, I think it's Otovius Wolotor. Look, let us not sugarcoat anything here. Cummings is no different from all the other Liberian politicians.
Prince William, aka Kulajeni, the chairman of the Liberty Party, runs the day-to-day and controls the maintenance and facility of the party. The political leader, Mrs. Lawrence and Bility, had a meeting prior to that and seems to iron out their differences. That may not be
from Kamon Fufana. Under no condition can Cummings beat President we are in 2023 election.
Phrase Boris Freeman, she favors Mini Yombli Kangana. She favors Boakai over him because Cummings has been undermining all the political leaders. Simple as that.
Like yeah, from Josh Preston Lobo, who might be on another debate here soon, maybe next Sunday. Josh Lobo writes, Hussein Fariga is offering nothing of substance here tonight. Bro, you are weak and empty. I am disappointed in your performance here on this show. You are just running all over the place.
I understand your problem.
James Zia is coming after you also. No one takes the Fariga brothers serious in our country. Coach Peter Kwiwi, Robert, can you give one example of any suggestion that Mr. Boakai offered to any government he has worked for fighting corruption? Can he tell us one job creation plan that Boakai offered Ellen but was rejected?
And I hear from they saying, I think, Gonga, Mr. Cummings defeat his own theory by saying you can't continue to do the same thing and expect different results. That nonsense statement by you are merit making with the likes of Joseph Boakai, Darius Dillon, and Yuri.
Fariga is doing a great job now. I'm not sure which party he will be supporting come 2023. T. Ronaldo Taylor, considering all the horrible things that happened in our country during the Unity Party regime, there is no way that Mr. JNB can be put aside, that he was not responsible for the backwardness of our country today. For our country to experience a real change and a modern democracy, Mr. Cummings is the best way forward.
And I hear from Amen K. Salif II, that's not politics. That's normalizing a bad culture of corrupt politics.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Those were some of your comments. I think we read a lot of them. Let's start with Mr. Fariga. Your response to any one of the comments you deem appropriate to respond to.
You see, most of the comments are partisan driven. I will respond to George Lobo. You see, George Lobo is a young man that he just had a very big gaffe, and I think he's still trying to recover, and he's still bitter. But it was disheartening to see George Lobo try to tell an elderly statesman what to do. And we all watched that video in horror. And I think he's still bitter that we call him out on it, but he will be fine. I heard that Omen Barker was so mad at him, and he won't be on his team anytime soon. So he's still struggling there, but it is what it is. I've said what I said. I'm not an official spokesman for Mr. Cummings, but I do have common sense, and I do know that something needs to change in Liberia, and we need to find the right person. And I know who is that person. Joseph Barker is not the person. So that's the only person I can think on. I see a lot of unity partisan there, but for a man that will be 78 years old, come 2023, what more can he offer? Where he's going to run? If he is the solution to our problem, then I'm wondering what is the problem?
Thank you.
He cannot be the solution. I think he's part of the problem, and we need new breed of politicians to change the status quo.
Thank you, Mr. Gagwa.
Yeah, I think I partially concur with Fatiga on one point, which is I don't think Joseph Barker is the way forward. I said that in 2017.
Lobo may withdraw his support for you tonight.
Lobo is a friend and he's a brother. I think our relationship is transcends politics. But he knows where I stand when it comes to Unity Party and Joseph Barker specifically. But there is one thing I want to say, and look, I'm not the smartest guy out there, but I'm no dummy. I think that the mistake that Unity Party made in 2017 was spending more time telling us how illiterate George Weah was, instead of telling us why Joseph Barker was the better leader. And I think that if the ANC folks, and I have a lot of friends that support Cummings. Look, some of these guys haven't even known Cummings half of the way we knew him before he was even out there. But the mistake that they're going to make is if they continue to puffer this Joseph Barker's age. Joseph Barker is an elderly state man. We get it. He's 78 years old. He's approaching 80 years old. But none of this has anything to do with his ability and or his inability to lead. I think what my friends over at ANC should rather focus on and spend more time on is telling us exactly why Cummings is the change agent. You know, Les Brown said something very profound, and I'll be remiss if I didn't say this. He said, either you become a victim of change or an agent of it. An agent of change initiates the change they want. And so when I talk about questioning some of Cummings' decision, I want to be very clear. This is not a statement that says Cummings is a bad leader or that says Cummings cannot lead Liberia. It's a statement that questions whether or not Cummings is the real change agent or if he's a victim of change. And I think these are conversations that we must have as we approach 2023, because Liberia is at a crossroad. And so I absolutely don't think that.
Dennis, can I speak to?
And
let me respond to one guy who asked me.
No, that was too long, Robert. So we got to go. So let me.
Can I speak to something Robert just said? Dennis, Robert always keep mentioning age. You listen to the BBC interview day before yesterday. Age came out. Even Joseph Biden, the oldest serving president in the history of America, age matters. You first have to look at the life expectancy of a typical Liberian. It's around 51 years old. He have way past that. The second thing here is Liberia is a very youthful country. We're talking about a man that represents less than 2% of our population claiming that he is the solution to their problems. That is completely is unrealistic. And if he gonna stay in the way of us getting the best person that will transform that country, yes, we should call him up for him. By the time he leave office, he will be 84 years old. How many 84 years old do you like men do you know that are still? I mean, not even Liberian men, even in America. If he is the solution to our problem, then I'm wondering because this man is completely out of touch. He was asked, how will you be able to woo the youth vote from George Weah? And he said, his response, you can play that from the BBC interview. He said that the people have realized that they made a mistake with George Weah by voting for him. And now because they realized that mistake, now they're going to vote for me. How is that a campaign strategy? How does that solve youth unemployment? How does that solve the drug addiction? How does that solve all the problems that a very youthful country like Liberia have? This man is completely out of touch. He's not even abreast of the new latest technology.
Hold on.
We're in the 21st century, still dealing with.
Hold on, Robert. Hold on, because I have a question for you. Both of you agree. Both of you said, Mr. Boakai, you have question about him becoming president. My question to you, Robert, is fitness for office. Given the question you raised about Mr. Cummings' decision and judgment, and being the president of Liberia is about decisions, about judgment, will you say that Mr. Cummings is fit for office? Put another way, will he be a good president? Will he make a good president for Liberia?
I think, and I want to be very careful in what I say.
Yeah, I want to get that out of you.
I think that, let me be unequivocal. I think that Mr. Cummings is a good leader. Look, he has a record at Coke for that, over 19 years.
I mean, to be president of Liberia, is he fit?
But he's in a different environment. I think that Cummings will make a fine leader if he is able to consolidate his base, if he's able to recruit the right.
Mr. Gagwa, you question his judgment and decision making.
But that's and I think this is a fair statement. I think right now I have reservations about a Cummings presidency, and so if I can't tell you that Cummings is 100% fit to be president right now. What I'm telling you is this: I think that he's a fine gentleman, and I think that at the appropriate time, if and only if he's able to recruit the right people that will help. Help guide him.
Mr. Gagwa, that got nothing to do with judgment, right? Mr. Cummings' judgment you consistently question. Now, if he's president tomorrow, and he has to make the right call for the country, and you are questioning his judgment, so will he make a good Liberian president? Yes or no?
Look, you want me to say that because I'm questioning Cummings' judgment right now, he won't make a good Liberian president? I can't say that.
So you say by that time you have graduated.
What I'm saying is, Cummings still got time to make amends.
All right, thank you. No, that's what I wanted. Thank you.
Yeah.
You say he's learning. All right. The phone lines are set, and we want to involve our viewers.
But I wanted to say this, Dennis. Hold
on. Let's play your call.
I will lose my train of thought. 30 seconds, please, before you call the call. I want to just respond to this. Fariga, we are in the 21st century, still dealing with 18th century problems in Liberia, and so I agree with you that a guy who was 78 years old in this age of technology and things that the war has involved, I don't think he's the guy. What I'm telling you ANC people is, if you continue to put forth this age thing, we want to know why your candidate is the better candidate. Why he would be a better leader. Let's focus on that rather than talking about. You can
discuss his age,
but the issue should be more of interest than his age.
We can do both. You can question his age at the same time put forth an alternative plan that will make Mr. Cummings a way better candidate. He can relate to the youth. He relate to the women. He has 21st century solution to our 18th century problem. We cannot put an 18th century solution to solve 18th century problem.
I haven't seen those solutions yet. That's a whole different.
Right. And we're going to have that discussion. But let me ask you, Mr. Fariga, if elections were held today in Liberia, whom will you be voting for?
If election were held today in Liberia, I think Mr. Cummings is well suited right now to lead that country.
And if you had to cast your vote, that would be Mr. Cummings.
If I had to cast my vote today, I would cast it for. I will hold that reservation. Hold that for now. It's too early to say.
Mr. Gagwa, if elections were held today in Liberia, whom will you be voting for, and who do you think, as of today?
To be brutally honest with you, I will abstain. I will not vote for any of the candidates on the ballot. If all of the candidates considered, I won't vote for any.
Why?
Because I don't trust any. I don't think that
the country got to run, Robert.
Yeah, the country got to run, but I'm not with the less of evil syndrome. I would not cast my vote for a candidate that I don't believe will get us to where I believe we deserve.
Robert, then you should get us a candidate, because we need a president that would be good.
Well, then maybe I need to be on the ballot.
Huh?
Then maybe I need to be on the ballot.
Okay. Let me take our first call. This one is from Prince William, all the way from Johnson City, Tennessee. Prince, you are live.
Yeah. Yes, thank you, Dennis. Thank you for focus on Liberia, and thanks to Robert for coming out and making such profound statement and remark as regards Cummings' decision. And thanks to Mr. Fariga for coming out with a brilliant performance in trying to give us the fact and reality as it relates to our national politics. I would like to say here something profound here. Like Robert, I was once of the idea and mentality that Cummings' decision to join the CPP was a mistake. In fact, that very decision led me to have become not join the ANC at the time I was offered to become a member. But after I have come to realize that Cummings' decision was right. And I've come to understand that this is what leadership is about, making the tough decision in difficult times. Imagine during the World War II, when Europe needed aid, America to come to their aid, and you do know that America and Russia don't see eye to eye. Imagine if America, when Germany, when Winston Churchill called America so they can form an alliance with Russia and other countries to fight against the axis of evil that was threatening the well-being of the whole entire world. Imagine if America had said, I'm not going to go to form an alliance with Russia because Russia and I don't get along. Imagine what would have happened today. We all would have been speaking German today.
Right.
Now, I spoke with Cummings.
Yeah,
and I tried to figure out,
we have more colors.
I tried to figure out as to what was he thinking at the time. You know, unfortunately, peace be to his soul, Child Walker Brunskin is no more with us. But when Cummings were called to the table to forge the alliance to help to redeem Liberia or to bring back a senator to the politics of Liberia, it was a hard and difficult decision for him. But he made that decision based on the fact that he knew Josiah and Mbaka for a very long time. They had a long friendship, standing friendship. And Child Walker Brunskin also convinced him to be a part of this. And the union was meant to be to give the Liberian people hope and to give the Liberian people opportunity that they can be able to allow the tenets of democracy to manifest among all those who came together. Yeah, they all had, some of them they don't have the perfect character, but this is not church. This is politics. So coming John with the idea of giving the Liberian people the opportunity so democracy can prevail. Now,
thank you.
Has that been the case? No. But what we have realized that we are seeing today, what the problem of the Liberia in problem is. And we, like Robert and myself, had to come to understand that notion and to help to support a good man who is trying to transform things. I've been resisted by the status quo and the culture of our politics. So Robert, Cummings made a right decision, and let's support him. Cummings is a good leader, and he'll be the best leader for Liberia. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prince.
All right, caller with phone number ending in 4658. I think it's 30T Yankun. Let's hear you.
Yes, sir. I'm Teddy Lion Yankun, calling from Fargo, North Dakota. Well, it's a very interesting show this night. I can see the two brothers in the studio, advocating for their candidates. moreover, I've seen that they are advocating for the wrong people in society. Both Cummings and Gagwa, those people are the wrong people in society. It is disingenuous to some of us who are similar age, the age of 40s, and we see our friends because they have advantage of the Queen's language that they can come and strongly talk for people to come in. You know about coconut business, but you don't know what others depend on. You know some others that indirectly and directly sponsor against our problem in Liberia, and now they're coming back, taking some of our brothers who believe themselves as educated ones that they would strongly talk for those people.
Thank you.
Can see with your own eyes that President Weah is the way out, that we all should surround President Weah and support President Weah.
Thank you, Mr. Nyakum.
Supporting people who are not better for our society. They don't know where they came from. Cummings no been there for the Liberian people.
Thank you, Mr. Nyakum.
Mr. Nyakum, we have more callers. Let's be very fast.
Yeah, Aliu Kamara, let hear you. You have 58 seconds. Go ahead.
No.
Let hear your praise and worship. Go ahead.
That is not going to work, my friend. Everybody here talk for at least 2 minutes. I'm going to have that 2 minutes.
Go ahead, Aliu. Go ahead.
Listen, man. Listen, look. We were having some very great time today. I was having some very good time, but something is going wrong. Let me just, before I make my statement, let me ask 2 questions, one for each of you guys. I hear a lot of accusations being thrown out there, but I did not get any details or facts of anything. The other guy, is that his name, Robert? He said that Ben Ayer was involved in massive corruption. First of all, I want to know his yardstick for measuring massive corruption, and what evidence can he give us that Ben Ayer was massively corrupt? The other guy over there who I call the flip-flop talker, what's his name? Hussein Fariga. This guy said that Joseph Boakai has a questionable character. And he said he was the lesser of the 2 evil during the 2017 election. What is lesser of 2 evil? What does it mean? I need some facts. When he said the character is questionable, what detail, what information does he have on Joseph Boakai in order for him to say that his character is questionable? But let me just say this to Mr. Fatiga. Fatiga, on your show, when you sit on your little show phone, you seem very comfortable. You seem to be the guy who knows the issue. But now you only have to sit with Anthony C. You're completely disoriented. You look like a guy who did not even enter 6th grade. It's like you don't even know.
Come on, Aliu.
Come on, Aliu, stop that.
A lot of no. Because when you just get up and talk about other people's character, you have no facts, no evidence, and the only tools you
all
have.
Right, Aliu, we have to leave it there because of time. Aliu, we have to leave it there. Sorry, we have to go. We have so many callers. Let's hear from the man, Gakon Moore. Mr. Moore, let's hear you.
Yeah, you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Gakon.
Yeah,
we don't have much time. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you all for the show. What a great show. And I was really looking to learn a very, key statement that, present Cummings in a different light since 2017. But it seems like we keep repeating the same story and same narrative about Cummings. But one thing I want to say, I don't have, anything to say on what was argued today, but I think the political party in Liberia, like Robert mentioned, there was 27 different political parties that contested in 2017. I think we need a vet. I think the political party need a vet new leader. They're not doing that. There's no way we should have lifelong political leaders in Liberia. Joseph Boakai should not be the face of the Unity Party. Joseph Boakai is not a brand. The Unity Party is the brand.
Thank you.
The thing will come. We need to vet other Liberians. There are more Liberians out there that can bring more to the table than any of the candidates that we have in this current or the scheduled election.
Thank you.
My story.
Thank you, Mr. Gakon Moore. And maybe you need to get in the race too, so we can vent you. Let's hear from phone number ending in 4531. Go ahead. Let's hear you quickly. 4531.
Thank you very much, Anthony. Here and then it's God. This is George Lobo calling from Phoenix, Arizona. How you guys doing today?
We're doing great, Josh. Let's hear you.
I want to say thank you for the show. I just wanted to say a few things. I listened to our Fariga struggle in the hands of Robert Quickwa, who does not have a side. Which I think for me, if I was an
Do you believe Robert doesn't have a side today, George?
Let me say this to you. When I say a side, given the conversation that's being held today,
all right, go ahead.
About Mr. Cummings and Boakai, so that's where I'm coming from. But here's what I want to say. Our Fariga is not the only ANC member who struggled to market Mr. Cummings. The ANC strategy has not been to sell Mr. Cummings. The ANC will have been heavily relying on the hope that they will be able to captivate the Unity Party and Mr. Boakai. And I'll just from a marketing standpoint, whenever you continue to speak about another product, until you present consumers with an alternative, you are leaving them with no choice but to buy that particular product. And that's what you guys have been doing consistently. Now, let me help correct you with something. It's just for confidentiality purpose, I won't tell you. But let me say this, Ambassador Boakai is in no way, shape, size, or form upset with me. I know Mr. Steve might not want to do it. I just left the former vice president. We just attended a dinner at the home of Arizona Senator Taylor. And I will say this to you, my team is fully in support of me, and that is why they authorized me to go on spoon on Thursday. So that notion that you have that somebody was mad and this and that, I just
Thank you,
want
Mr. Lobo.
to spread that lie. That's what I want to say.
Thank you.
And I will research the next time you come into this disco because your performance there was flat, and you need to do better to start.
Thank you, Mr. Lobo. Mr. Lobo want to invite the vice president of candidate Boakai on this platform for a discussion. Please extend our invitation.
So let me do this for you tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, I will have you speak to the chief of staff. I told Anthony here.
Thank you.
Out here in Arizona, the former vice president will not be holding a town hall. He's scheduled to meet a lot of state or government officials here as of tomorrow.
Thank you.
He'll be here for 4 days.
Thank you, Josh.
That happen, okay?
All right. Thank you, Josh.
George Noble is not even a relevant member of the Unity Party. He shouldn't be posturing acting like he has some command and control over Boakai. Boakai don't want to see.
Hold on. I'll take the calls first. Let's hear from you, 1496. I think Venus Camara. Let's hear you quickly.
Thank you, Anthony and Dennis. This is Ahmed Service. I want to thank the two gentlemen, the debaters. I think that we should encourage this kind of culture in our country, in our community, where we can engage in a civil discussion about national issues or whatever issues that are of interest to our country and our community. Two quick points. First of all, politicians, national leaders ought to be managed. So those who do better, those who do well, are those who do better. Experts, as a candidate who puts together the right team, as a candidate who demonstrates leadership, that they're able to pick the right people from the campaign stages to really help them organize, to think about the issues of the day, the issues that are of importance to the voters, to the electorate, and be able to articulate those issues. Frankly, I'm struggling to see Mr. Cummings, attempts to do that. For example, the budget thing, we can make the budget up to $1 billion, but I've not really seen a pathway, like a very tangible, workable pathway for him to get there. On the Unity Party side, Mr. Boakai, the age thing will come up, and that's an important and legitimate question. So the point is, if you have the right team and the right people who can really help you work through the issues that are of importance, of interest to the people, then you do better politically.
Thank you.
Finally, the point about, I think it was Mr. Fariga, Cummings came in a very bad environment of bad, corrupt, flawed characters, and I think that we are belittling Liberia if we do that. If you come up and say that I want to be somebody of high moral compass, I think that you have to rise above the fray and be a better person. Don't say because everybody else is bad, therefore I can justify this person's misjudgment. It's not particular to Mr. Cummings' point, but the point about Liberians in general, that bad politicians after the war, and therefore it's
Thank you, Amen. Thank you.
to take decisions that are wrong. I think that is a mischaracterization of what the country.
Thank you. Let's take this one. Norris jumps in, phone number in 4573. Let me hear you quickly.
Good afternoon, Tim. Just wanted to say this quick point. I think we kind of get ourselves a little bit confused. First of all, I'm calling for orders on New York to be specific for Jerome. So we know that Joseph Walker served as vice president for 12 years. And not at one point in time can he point or tell us that he was in opposition to any decision that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf made. He became completely silent. In this case today, Mr. Alexander Cummings is saying that I will make my position known that if I do not agree with you, I am going to say no, I do not agree with you, and I will let Liberia know this. This is the reason why I didn't agree with you. But I'm hearing my brother Robert questioning his position. Why are you a leader and you want to be this and so I'm a little bit confused. Isn't that the same problem we have with Joseph Walker today because he did not make his position of opposition known on any case or any instant or any point that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf wanted to execute or execute or implement? Thank you.
Thank you. Let's take this one. Our assistant here said Davis Andrew, phone number ending 8584. Let me hear you quickly.
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you for the discourse. It's very important that Liberians will come together and discuss matters pertinent to our country. The first thing I'd like to underscore here is the issue of age. Whenever you are characterizing just a blocker, I'm not a United partisan, but to talk about age, do you know what leadership is about? Leadership is about having the ability to get the right people on board in order to do the work. Again, all right? So to say that Joseph Walker is just too old in the age of technology, enhancing technology, he's not going to do anything in the 21st century, it's just Daniel. It's not even something that one should be thinking about. It's all about. And then let's look at people keep mentioning how he was vice president for 12 years, and nothing can be pointed to as something that he did as a signature.
Thank you, sir.
Achievement or accomplishment. Hello?
Yes, please wrap it up quickly. Time. Go ahead.
Yes. If you can see, what our history tells us is William R. Tolbert was one of the best president we've ever had. What did he do? He served as a vice president to supplement. All right? And when he came on, he hit the ground running because he already knew everything that was obtaining in the country.
Thank you.
For people to continue, making these statements and especially the guys there, one on the other side and one not having side. The one that does not have side is does not even have an authority.
Thank you.
A country, if you mean well for the country, you should think of an authority. And the other guy who just spewing and all kinds of things without doing any research, the Fariga guy, he should go and do more research.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Let's take one more. Phone number ending in 1063, calling from Minneapolis here. Let's hear you quickly, please.
This is the Colonel Gary. Gentlemen, good evening. I'm calling regarding the issue of ANC through its political leader Alexander Cummings going into a marriage into the CPP. I'm asking it to saying that first of all, one of the first points was that there were too many political organizations, and they needed to crunch them down by forming stronger political alliance that will lead into a single party. There's nothing bigger than that. Okay, so if I'm a leader, I should simply be told with that jive that hey, gentlemen, let's come together. Eventually, we'll come and come into one greater organization. Okay, and the issue of certain people having character, so therefore people can join them. Some of us speak against the idea from day one. But then again, think about even Jesus Christ, who was given the mission by God to come and change mankind and the society at large, how to bring criminals like Saul and Paul and all of these other guys together before he started presiding them to to address their own situation. gradually the
Thank
system
you.
itself became relevant. So thank you, gentlemen. I'll stop right there.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. That will do it for the calls that.
Hold on. We got a last caller here. Oh,
Okay.
this you turn it up, right?
Oh, yeah, turn it off.
This caller was before the one you just picked. So.
Oh my goodness.
All right.
You didn't see the number so we can call directly?
The number is there. But go ahead. Let me call it.
Yanko? Or you talking about
Providence?
All right, let me call that number quickly here. Let me see, 401-230.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Focus on Liberia. We are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. Okay, we got a caller. Caller, your name and where you calling from?
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for taking the call. My name is Peter. I'm calling from the East Coast. I want to say two things. I just want to add my voice to the conversation that's going on right now. First of all, thanks, Al, for what you're doing, speaking up for our country and taking shots from people who should know better but are not doing better. So I wanted to first say that. First of all, there was a caller who came on and says he doesn't know what Mr. Cummings' plan is. Mr. Cummings is the only politician in our country who has had countless engagement with the media, who has said exactly what he's going to do. Mr. Cummings has expanded his worldview as far as economically. He talked about the creation of a middle class. He talked about mercantilism, that is the government supporting small businesses and creating the middle class in the country is how the country grows. He talked about dispersing our reliance on raw material. He talks about that. He talks about eco-tourism as far as creating low-skilled jobs. He's talked about that. So he's talked about that ad nauseum. It's not like he's not kind of saying it. He says it over and over and over again. So for you to say, for anyone to say, well, they don't know what his plan is, that means you're not paying close enough attention. You probably shouldn't be engaging in politics in our country. Second thing, for every great accomplishment, you need great passion. You need great passion. I like the boycott supporters to tell me, show us an example of one thing he's passionate about. How if you're passionate about something, you talk about that thing over and over and over again. What can we put our finger to right now and say this is what boycott is passionate about, and this is how that passion is going to benefit that country? He cannot talk about young people. He cannot talk about any of that. He cannot show any passion in any area. So yes, his age does have something to do with it. He hasn't done anything in all his years in government, and I'd like them to tell us what is his economic worldview. Where can we go to hear him articulate that worldview?
Thank you.
We've listened to Cummings say over and over again. I'd like the boycott supporters to tell us where we can go and hear him. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Gentlemen, you heard from our callers, and time is fast spent. So 1 minute each, respond to our callers, and then we do something else. Then we can wrap up.
Well, I could go first. There were so many calls. I took some points. Some of them I wouldn't even, especially the other Leo guy. I wouldn't even respond to him. I think his comment was very juvenile, and it just speaks to people that do not come here to discuss the issue. They just want to be a distraction. So I've dealt with those kind of people for long. I won't talk about George Lobo. I think he's not as relevant. What I do want to say is that age matters. A country like the United States of America, with $1 trillion economy, having trusted the economy with people as young as in the 43. The youngest president was Theodore Roosevelt, even though he was not elected. At that time, he was 42 years old. JFK was 43 years old. Barack Obama, 47 years old. You look close to France, Emmanuel Macron was, I think, 35 years old. These people with nuclear weapons and all this different infrastructure can entrust their country with the youth. Look around the world. Are we still sleeping? I know we are sleeping because I'm currently right next door in Guinea. I'll travel around West Africa. I'll travel almost every continent, but probably beside Antarctica. And I see the world is changing right in West Africa here. It is changing and we still sleeping. How can you find an old man that have been part of this poor system? You see, the thing is, most of those boycott supporters want us to believe is that they want him to take credit for the good part of those government. For a man that has spent 40 some years in government, we have had civil war, we had a dictator, or men that have served all through those administration. He wants us to believe that he has a squeaky clean image, and he played no part whatsoever in where we find ourselves today. And he wants us to just believe it. I think it is disingenuous to the Liberian people. He's just not being sincere. Here's a man that doesn't take position on anything, and despite his lengthy stay in government, little or nothing is known about him. He just wants you to trust him and believe him. Ooh, this man has shown that he's completely disconnected from the youth. Liberia is a very youthful country. Joseph Boyka represents less than 2% of our population. People in our age group, less than 2% of our population. And you think that he's a solution for the rest of the family? We all know that. If you truly love Liberia, if you truly care about Liberia, we'll do the right thing this time around. Instead of us just taking the easy path, we'll look for the right person that will shake the status quo. Somebody that will change that whole system. And who else can we tap into? If I want to take the race, I would take a race with somebody that is new, that have not been part of that system, rather than going for someone that have been grandfather in this whole corrupt system that we're talking about. But again, that we continue to have this discussion. So I mean, most people gave statement. I didn't hear a lot of questions from the audience, but I still believe that Mr. Cummings made a right decision. I think he was unmuted. I think he made the right decision. Liberia is not a typical democracy. If we want to compare it to American democracy, we have to look at so many other things. But it's not your typical democracy. So integrity and all those different things, morals that we look for in leadership in the West is not the same as Liberia. Even people with the most immoral and the most questionable character have people supporting them. Our people that we are fighting for the best interest, do support those people. So how do you navigate that kind of environment? How do you navigate that kind of environment? You have to be on the table before you can even effect any change. And I think Mr. Cummings is on the right path.
Thank you. Robert, your response to the callers.
Well, a few things. The last gentleman talked about Mr. Cummings' plan. I don't think that people are questioning whether or not he has a plan. All of our politicians in Liberia have plans. It's the details of the plans. Talking about tourism, talking about raising the budget to $1 billion, talking about job creation. It's not necessarily a plan. I visited the ANC Global website today. First of all, I couldn't see the website for the ANC political party. I visited ANC Global, which is a group of the ANC, and they basically outlined a few things as the issues. And so what we want to see from both candidates, not just Cummings, are their plans in detail so that we're able to ask the tough questions for the details. The gentleman asked about facts with regards to Ben and Ayure. I think his name was Aliyu. I'm sorry.
Aliyu Kamara.
Look, Aliyu, this is an open secret. Mr. Yuri is a former confidant of a war convict in Charles Taylor. Mr. Yuri is on record publicly. You can't make this up. Of buying arms to fuel Taylor's war machine. We broke the United Nations arm embargo. And the guns that he helped Taylor purchase killed thousands of Liberians. We have over 250,000 Liberians who lost their lives. When you talked about corruption and the facts that you are asking for, it's just a click of a research. These are public records, right? He used resources from Maritime to fund these guns that were purchased for Charles Taylor. And you know what? Another fact that you need to know about Mr. Ulysses and how he's became rich. Looked at the cell phone company and research the formation of that company. Look, these are no secret. When we talk about these individuals, it's not to damage who they are. I worked hard for my reputation. I don't want my reputation damaged. But the fact of the matter is, when we're speaking about these people and things that they have done that are public record, that should be public record, I don't think these are things that people should be mad about because they are somehow connected to a political party. These are facts. You can't question facts.
Thank you.
Well, folks, you have been watching Focus on Liberia Debate Night. Here at Focus on Liberia, we are about to close down the curtain. We will now go back to our debaters to take their closing statement. We could not go into the last segment of plans. Maybe we'll arrange with them to bring them back to talk about just only the plans of these two individuals who are running to be, maybe all the individuals that are running to be president, or the key ones, so that Liberians can have the opportunity to know what they have in package for them and offering them, for which they should bless them with their votes, because that vote is precious. It decides whether we get a role or we get a clinic or something else that the Liberian people need. All right, Dennis.
We want to thank the gentleman so much for the time, and we want to thank our audience for being here with us. From the beginning of the show, we told you about our rubric, even though it's not clear there. But what we are saying is, hey, don't just look at what they are saying or which party you support, but look at how they have respect for each other, the information, the rebuttals, the use of facts and statistics, the organization, and understanding of the topic. I think by those standards, our debaters did very, very well. At this time, we want to say thank you so much, viewers, for watching, and also our debaters. We'll go around now and get your closing comments. Let's start with Mr. Fariga, the Prophet Truth.
Well, I want to thank you guys for giving us a platform to express ourselves. I think what I gathered from today is that from this conversation is that Robert and myself pretty much agree on a lot of things. We're saying it from different perspectives, but we kind of agree on a lot of things. So all I have to say is that Liberia is at a difficult crossroad, and we have some tough decisions to make. We can either take the easy route or we can take the hard route. I think this time around we need to get it right. It's not settling for the lesser evil anymore. I think we know what we need to get us where we want to be. Most people talk about this person is electable, the other person is not electable. Anybody is electable. The first thing we need to do as a nation and as a people is to identify the right person. Someone that is not part of the status quo, someone that can transform that country. Give them our support and they will work wonders. We're not just going to have give them a carte blanche to do whatever we want to do. We can hold them accountable if they don't deliver. I don't trust the old system. I don't trust anyone from that old system. They are all talk and they do not do anything. So if you look in this race, if you look around the table, there are only a few people that embodies those characteristics. I think we should be looking at it. Yeah, I think Alex Cummings is one of those people, and I think we should strongly consider it. If you haven't selected anyone yet, if you don't have anyone in mind, I think Mr. Cummings is someone. I have come close to him. I have listened to him. I have seen what he stands for. I think he means well for Liberia. We should not allow this anyone to stay in the way of giving a very good candidate.
Thank you, Fariga, for coming. Mr. Gagwa, you're closing.
Thank you for the platform, and thank you for the opportunity to engage my friend and brother Fariga. I think he's a great guy, irrespective of whatever disagreements that we have. But he's right. We do agree on some things. But in closing, I want to touch on something that I didn't get the opportunity to touch on. And it is about Unity Party now that we have Unity Party versus ANC. And Unity Party fielded a candidate in the last midterm election in person of Mr. Samuka,
who happens to be the former defense minister. Mr. Samakar, as we all know, and two other defense minister officials were convicted at the criminal court seat for allegedly misusing funds generated through deducting the salaries of officers of the armed forces of Liberia in a compulsory retirement funds account in 2009. And during one of Cummings' interview, when he was questioned about his leadership and his decision to allow that to have happened under his watch, again left me head scratching when he decided to defend an indicted criminal, and when he indicted criminal, that somehow the reason why he was allowed to run under his watch, that you cannot speak or call a guy a criminal when you have an appeal at the Supreme Court. What Cummings didn't mention was that a lower court had already found Samakar guilty, so he was already a convicted criminal. And in fact, there was a small group from Lofa that did a petition to NEC to stop his election, which of course wasn't legal. But I said that to say that Cummings in many ways have gone out of his way to defend questionable characters. He didn't have to do that. That's Unity Party's problem. Now they're going back and forth. Some of the questions that I continue to have is, how do you make this argument when you are going directly against these individuals within Unity Party that you've gone out your way to defend? In 2017 election, Cummings was placed top 5 nationally and top 3 in 6 out of the 15 counties. Those counties included Bomi, Maserado, Maryland, River G, and Sano. This was in 2005 when people thought that he was a stranger, after Cummings had retired from America all these years. And I saw that as an opportunity for Cummings to build on after 2011. And so this argument that says there's no other path to the presidency but going to bed with criminals, going to bed with characters that have been part of Liberia's problem, and how do we change this country? I vehemently reject that. That there are many paths to the presidency, and we should not compromise our integrity. We should not compromise what we stand for to get to the presidency. Thank you.
Thank you
I
so
know
much.
the program is over for Dennis. I just want to throw one minute at Robert. Should Cummings reject a support of any of those people with questionable character if they were to ever give their support, even if it was not solicited? Take for example Prince Johnson. Should he reject their support? If Prince Johnson says, you know what?
If Prince Johnson says that I will endorse Cummings, if Prince Johnson had a press conference today and says that I'm endorsing Alice Cummings for president, and this was done without a meeting between he and Prince Johnson, like it was in 2017, Cummings, that's Prince Johnson's choice. Prince Johnson is a Liberian, and he has the right.
Should Cummings reject that endorsement? We're talking about 250,000 votes right out of Nema County. Should Cummings reject that endorsement?
Gentlemen, I think we are opening another debate.
That's when you have a team.
Gentlemen, please.
That's when you have a team.
No, it's a yes or no. It's a yes or no.
That's when you have a team of strategy that will publicly put out how you approach this. I don't want Cummings to mention. Let me ask you this: if Prince Johnson went to the ballot and voted for Cummings, can Cummings stop him from voting for Cummings? No, he can't. Right? But
thank you, Robert. Thank you. Let's end it there.
That's a
problem. I will take that as yes. I will take that as yes.
Let's end it there. Let's end it there. I want to announce that election results for the Liberian Association here in Metro Atlanta are in. So we have our results. There was election held today. The Liberian Association of Metro Atlanta, that's Lama, and Mr. Biot Brople has emerged as the executive director. Ms. Lois Harris as the deputy executive director or vice president, and Mrs. Stephanie Setro as the director of administration. With the board elections, the results are also in. Board members elected are Mrs. Amelia Togba Ade, Dr. Theresa Jordan, Charles Russell, and Mohammed Kone. Congratulations for the winners here in Metro Atlanta. Back to you, Mr. Sear.
So, folks, this is how we'll come to the end of this yet another night debate here. A focus on Liberia. We usually don't close any of our shows without playing the song "We Are All Liberians." We will catch you again. Thanks so much, Mr. Fariga, for joining us from all the way, Connor Creek.
Yeah, me Connor Creek.
Thank you so much. I mean, your light was stable throughout. I mean, it was Liberia who have gone off. You know.
I'm telling you, when at least I didn't have to say it.
Okay, all right. I have to say that because I noticed that with many guests from Liberia, and also Mr. Robert Glady Gagwa, gentlemen, you represented Liberia today.
Robert
one of the
Gagwa.
Okay, sorry. I will just stay away from that middle name, Robert Gagwa. That one I can pronounce very well. Gentlemen, I think you represented Liberia today. You came, the debate was savor. You represented your family. Your family should be proud of you. Our nation should be proud of you, irrespective of where you stand on the issue. This is the kind of conversation we want to encourage in our political atmosphere. But the insults and all that many people think will make them famous just for tomorrow, it's unacceptable, and we should not condone that. And Focus on Liberia is proud to have given you the opportunity to represent your family, yourself, and Liberia. Congratulations to you. The song says, "We are all Liberians," and we say bye-bye to you all.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Liberia.